Hey everyone, welcome back to Studies World. In this episode today, we are going to chat with Sanya Priyadarshini, who is a social media manager and she has gained an expertise in managing international clients. So, if you are an aspiring social media manager and want to know how best you can manage international clients, make sure you watch this entire episode. We also have a fun game in between. We also try to get to know what exactly goes on behind a social media manager's mind, from being a literature student to wanting to be a professor to switching to be a social media manager. We chat about everything in this episode with Sanya Priyadarshini. Watch the entire episode and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Welcome, Sanya, to Sudhi's World. I'm so glad you agreed to be part of the podcast today.
Thank you for having me here.
So let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your journey as a social media manager. When did you start? Did you have a background in marketing or did you learn later? How was it?
So, coming into this online world was actually never a part of the plan. It was never the plan to be, a social media manager, to be working on internet and be in this virtual space. So, I actually have a master's in English literature, and I wanted to be a professor. Actually, I wanted to go for PhD and teach people, and that was the basic plan that I have always had. So, after my master's, I started preparing for my NET exams, and that continued for like 2 whole years. And yes, like if you are just sitting at home and preparing and doing, learning all those stuff just for a competitive exam, it gets kind of, it messes you up in some way. So I started getting really frustrated. I was irritated all the time because I wasn't able to crack that exam. And just because I was always like, I have to do this. This is yes, that's what was happening with me. Like for 2 complete whole years, I was just studying for my PhD, and I was not able to crack. So that was kind of messing me up. I had lost confidence. I was very underconfident. I was like, I cannot do anything. If I don't crack this, I won't be able to earn a living. What will happen? What will I do? So that was the mind shift that I was slowly shifting into. And I knew that so bad because I used to be so much confident in my school and colleges, and then this was something that was happening with me. So after that, I decided like let's go for TOEFL. If not PhD, at least TOEFL, and then I can come back and start teaching. So I worked for my TOEFL exams, and I started preparing, and I cracked it. And before when I was preparing for my PhD for TOEFL exams, I was excited that okay, this is now something that I'm going to do. This is thing. But the day my TOEFL result was announced, it hit me so hard. I was like, I cracked the exam, and then I realized this is not for me. This field that I have been working for like 2 to 3 consecutive years, day and night studying, and now I suddenly feel that this is not what I want to do. I don't want to go for a PhD. I don't want to go foreign for higher education. And then I thought that, okay, I do not want this. At least I know I do not want this. But the thing that kept confusing me was, okay, what do I want instead of not going for PhD? What next? So I started exploring and I started finding out. I took a break, and during that time, I came to know about the social media manager thing. I didn't know that thing even existed. I had no clue about it. So I researched about it. I found what it is and how I can be one. So when I was researching about it, I found a course by Rita Mittal, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, this is something. This is so cool. I have to do this. I have to be this. And then I started learning. I started working on my stuffs, researching things, and now I'm here.
You're a full-fledged social media manager.
Absolutely.
You must have never thought that you would be one. Do you sometimes think that maybe you should have been a professor? And do you regret not going that path now?
No, I don't. I actually, this thing of teaching people, of coaching people, that is in me. Still, sometimes, like, I love doing that. But being a full-fledged professor, going to a college and teaching people, now even sometimes my parents ask me that what you are doing, don't you want to do a PhD? You have always been working hard for that. See, this form has come and fill this, and I'm like, no, I'm not going back. I can't do that. I'm so happy, and I'm so, like, this is the happiest, most satisfied I have ever been. I'm really glad that I found this, and I'm enjoying it to the fullest.
Do you enjoy the time flexibility also that it has to offer, the work from home, the location and the time?
Absolutely.
You wouldn't
Yes,
have
otherwise,
got that if you would have been a professor, right?
right. I have got so many flexibilities, such a freedom this has been for me. I can sit anywhere and do my work. I can go out and do my work. So yeah, so this has brought me a lot of freedom, and the best thing, I think, it has brought my confidence back to me. I had been so much underconfident for the, like, when I was studying. So now that, because I know I have to be out there and talk to new people, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I have to do for myself. So it made me so much confident. It made me like, now I'm a people person. I can talk to people, and it makes me really happy.
I also think at the time that you were focusing so much on preparing for the exams, you must have isolated yourself and not really mingled.
Right. I was not on social media. I was never on Instagram. I had never been on Instagram. I was on I was on Facebook when I was in my college, and then while preparing for my exams, I had deactivated my account. I was not on any social media. I was not talking to people. I just used to feel that if I'm out with people, if I'm talking to them, I'm wasting my time. I could have studied. I could have done something. Yes. So yeah, that was kind of isolation for me.
So because you love your work so much, do you find yourself working all the time, or do you set a work-life balance? Do you take out time? I know you're also working today on a Sunday, but do you take out time on weekends, or do you have fixed day offs?
I do have, like, it's not like I'm working every weekend. Sometimes I get lazy in between the week, and I feel like, okay, I'm not working today. So yeah, that happens. But what I try is maintaining a discipline about my routine. I have become such a routine person. Like, I know what I have to do throughout the day. In the morning, when I start my day, I plan out my day completely, like whom I'm having a call with, what I'm going to do today. So it's completely a plan for my day. So yeah, I have a routine and I follow it. And the thing that has, like, I have worked hard to maintain a discipline around it. So for me, it has been like, I am working on weekends, but then again, when I don't want to work even on a weekday, I kind of laze around. And yes, we have like a deadline that, okay, you have to do this, you have to send me this. But it's still, it's like freedom and responsibility is something that I have on, like, I have both of the things. So I know that I have to get this thing done, but I know that I'm free to do it. Like, so yeah.
Yeah. You can set your own specific deadlines and do it within
yes.
That's great. So coming to social media, what do you think is that one mistake most of the brands or people in profile public figures do in their Instagram profile, which actually harms their growth, organic growth?
One thing that has like, I often see most of the people doing is, not showing up on stories, not showing their story, what has been their story and what motivated them, and how they started working. So that is something that, because when you talk to people, when you are showing what your story is, what you do and how you are doing it, that makes you very relatable, that makes you connected to people. And people do not just buy because you are selling something. People buy because they feel connected. So that is something that I want more and more entrepreneurs, more and more people to start doing. Just tell your story, how you started, why you are doing this, and how you are solving your people's problem. Because most of them are like, I'm doing this, but they do not know why they are doing this. So tell that to people and show that in your business, in what you are doing and how you are doing. So that develops a connection, that develops that shows that you are relatable to people.
Yeah, true. So it is like you connect them emotionally, you make them feel
Yes,
uh, the essence of your brand by invoking their
right.
emotions.
Everybody is doing like you are using hashtags and you are doing your posts. That's fine. That's absolutely great. But you have to understand that in order to sell your product, in order to be relatable, you have to tell your story. You need to tell your story.
Okay. So when you started working, and I'm sure, did you have struggle with getting clients, or was it
Kind
easy?
of.
Kind
Yes,
of.
I guess yes, because in the beginning, when I was starting out, I used to be very camera shy. I didn't come on story. I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't making any video. I was doing nothing, just posting and then disappearing. Bye. I can't do anything more. So yes, that's because I was starting out and I was not really comfortable, not confident showing up. So in the beginning, yes, I was struggling, and the thing that helped me was, I guess, you know, then I realized that something is not right. I'm not doing anything right because people are getting clients, and how are they getting clients? Why am I not getting clients? So I saw and I followed what they were doing, how they were doing. I saw, I learned, and yes, I guess I got my first client after a month of starting out. It took a month.
Okay.
So yes, I would say I struggled because I know people who have started and they just got their first client within a week. So kind of, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Also, was it easier to get international clients, or uh, was it easier to get local clients? Which of it was easier?
To be very honest, I have not faced any such, any difference between these two because first client was my international client. He was from New Jersey, so that was my first client. So, and till now, I have worked with two national clients and the rest have been international. So for me, it has not been very difficult to, get international clients because you have to do the same thing. You have to show up, you have to talk to people, you have to engage with them, you have to make them aware that you have a trouble, you have a problem, and this is how I can help you. So that goes for both national and international. So not really, it has not been, a trouble for me to get in touch with international clients.
What was your experience as to working with international clients?
Oh, it has been amazing. It has been lovely. In fact, I guess I connect more with them easily because it's very naturally. I don't because the way they live and it has been very attractive for me. Okay, so plus the thing is that they respect their team a lot. Now, I'm not saying Indian clients do not do that, they do, but being a part of their community, being a part of their team is like because they when I've been working with international clients, I have come to know about whole of their team, even their friends. I know their friends. So yes, it has been a very social kind of thing with them for me. Getting to know international clients, working with them, it has been like a social team with them. So yeah, it has been a very good experience, to be honest.
Okay, so now for a young adult who is just starting out and who is just looking for clients, and what is that one advice you would like to give?
The thing that I did, get out of your comfort zone and try out new things, because I know that there is a fear in us that what if we do not succeed, what if we do not get what we want, what we are working for. But the thing is that once you start coming out of your comfort zone, once you start trying out new things, you are going to make it big. Because especially I get so many queries like, I'm an introvert, how I can start doing things. Like, I'm an introvert, I have been an introvert for the whole life, but today I'm doing it. So don't feel like your one side of your personality, being an introvert, should stop you from doing anything, from achieving what you want to do. So yes, get out of your comfort zone and start trying out new things, start doing stuff that you are meant to do, and you will make it big. Because coming out of comfort zone can eventually make you very confident. So do that, start doing that today and stop postponing things.
Okay, true. Now, speaking of comfort, home is that one place where we are most comfortable at. And do you tend to get distracted often and tend to laze around, or how do you keep yourself productive and focused with the tasks that you do?
I guess my to-do list makes it up because I'm very disciplined about my to-do list. When I know that I have to get stuff done, I do it. And that is one thing that I have, like, I had to develop a habit for, because as you said, like, we are living at home and we tend to laze around here and there, but we know that we have to get stuffs done, we have to do certain things that needs to be done. So yes, you have to develop a discipline for that. You have to start working on that. It's just a matter of discipline, it's a matter of motivation. And the thing is that if you enjoy doing that, because I love being in my creative headspace, I enjoy doing that. So sometimes when I'm at home and when I do not have work, I feel like, what now? What should I do? So I take my laptop and I get into it and start working.
What does your typical work day look like? Do you get up and do exercise, yoga, meditation before you start your work?
The first thing that I do is like get up and make the warm turmeric water that I drink daily, and I guess I often put that in my stories.
Yes.
And my turmeric tea and my to-do list, that's the time when I prepare my to-do list, and then I start reading a book. Right now I'm reading How Google Works, so that's the typical morning routine that I do. And no matter if it's a weekend or it's a weekday, I have to do that. So even on my weekends, I tend to create a to-do list, because like today I was working, so it was like because at 4 o'clock I have to be free. What I'm going to do before that, everything. So yeah, sometimes that needs to be sorted out. So morning is done with to-do list and everything, and then I make a point to not open my laptop before it's 11 a.m. I start working at 11, and before that I do not open my laptop, because I know from that time the laptop opens, it will get shut down at night. So I just let it be, like, I'm not doing that. And then after 11 I start working, and around 5 or 6 p.m. and from 7 to 8 I hit the gym, and then I get back, I take a bath and then dinner, and I try to sleep by 11. Because when I was starting out, I used to start working around 9 and then continue till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. There was no routine as such. Because I felt, when I was starting out, I felt like, okay, if I'm not working hard, I'm not working enough. I used to feel very guilty about it. But now I know that if I need to get stuffs done, I should concentrate on it and get it done. I do not need to keep postponing, okay, 1 hour later or 2 hours later. So that kind of I had to develop a discipline around that.
Yeah, so what I learned from your daily schedule is self-prioritizing yourself the first thing in the morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you get on with the task. And I also think it gives you a clear mind to go ahead with your tasks. And
yes, because you know what you are going to do throughout the morning. I am not a go with the flow kind of person. It will mess me. It will mess me up.
To try and understand. I think for some people, when you try to go with the flow, you end up doing a lot of thinking and not doing the work.
Right.
As such,
right? And I enjoy ticking them off. Like if I have done a task, I enjoy ticking it off. So it feels like an achievement for me. And I have always been like a celebration kind of person. If I have completed that task, I'm going to celebrate. So I'll just go around home and tell, okay, I have done 2 tasks, I've done this. That's something that I have always done. So I'm always celebrating the things around me. So I love taking things off.
So I saw in your story that you recently read the book, The Purple Cow. I have read the summary of that book, and it was eye-opening. It's on my Amazon list now to order in my next book haul as such. So what are the 3 main lessons that you learned from the book?
The book is actually about marketing and about business ideas. So it's about, if I summarize it down, it comes down to creating a purple cow
Mm.
Purple cow is an idea that nobody is working around in your business, in your industry. So create a purple cow and start milking it. Bring out so many ideas from it, make it work. And when you are done milking it and start creating, once that idea is over, once that idea is like in the market and everybody is doing that same thing, you create another purple cow, you create another idea. And once that purple cow, everybody's creating that purple cow, you go and create an orange panda. You create a whole another idea and blow up the market. So that is something that it was super interesting. It's an amazing book, to be very honest, and it has such so many brilliant ideas to get from that. Just keep underlining it. Like when I was reading, I was like, okay, orange panda, purple cow, what is this? Like, it's such an interesting book.
Yeah, I also read a similar book on the Blue Ocean Strategy. Have you read that?
That's in my list.
Blue Ocean Strategy is also kind of similar. It's like everybody is working on one thing. You create a completely different market. You create a completely different product and a completely different market, and serve a completely different niche of people where nobody else is serving, where nobody
else is doing. Right.
Separate ocean for yourself. That is the snippet of the book.
And that is going to make you relevant in the market, because if you just keep doing the same stuff that everybody is doing, you have to be innovative in market that is super saturated. So keep working on ideas, keep working on brilliant ideas, bring new things in the market, and people will get attracted to you.
Okay. So what do you think about the future of social media managers? There are a lot of people who are learning to become one. There are already a lot of digital marketers and a lot of social media managers. What do you think is going to be the future? How should a new person who's starting out evolve or learn or not get like vanished in the crowd?
Very recently I saw a story on someone's profile on Instagram. So it was like, the poll was about, do you think social media is going anywhere right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think because so many people have left social media just because and that's true, to be very honest, it hurts your mental peace in the long run if you are constantly on that. So that was a poll, and so many people they were talking about how is it not going anywhere, and some people are leaving social media. But in my opinion, I don't think this digital world, this social media thing is going anywhere, because every day just recently Instagram launched a whole new feature, a recently deleted feature came up. Before that, Reels popped up. Now Clubhouse has come up. So I don't think this digital world, this media is going anywhere, because every day a new algorithm is popping up, something new is happening. So it's not going anywhere. And right now the social media thing is not very saturated. This niche is not saturated. Every day people are learning it, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine. You are going to get so many creative heads here. So I don't think the social media is going anywhere as of now, and it's going to evolve. It's going to evolve there will be developments here, and people are going to use it more and more, because earlier Instagram was just about clicking pictures and posting pictures and getting likes. Today it is more about business. There are so many creators here, there are so many entrepreneurs here. So yes, in fact, I think it's like the future is going to be here.
Yeah, I also think that the apps are doing their best to keep people coming back.
Yes.
They are
come back, right? Because when TikTok came up, and then people were flocking to TikTok, and then from India especially, TikTok was banned. So Reels came up, and now people are creating Reels here, which is again it's very engaging, and algorithm is favoring Reels right now. So yes, this is not going to go anywhere for the time being. and as for the mental peace thing, I just feel like people should follow such people from whom you are going to get motivated. You are going to learn something. If somebody is harming your mental peace, just remove them, block them, and don't go into that direction. Find people who are going to motivate you, from whom you are going to learn from. There are so many people who are trying out new things on social media. See them, find them, and like get engaged with them.
Yeah, true. It's like when you see, when you follow the right people, you grow in the right way, right?
Right.
It's better to
And you know
go
what?
and
Yes, and you know, I have got so many amazing friends on social media, and they are like, we have never met, but we encourage each other like anything. Like, you are the best, you're going to kill it, just go and do it. So that is something that you find people as such. You have to find people who are like you, who are going to, you know, treat us like you, or from the same mindset. So just find people who can help you grow.
Lovely. So we are going to now have a quick fire segment in the podcast, and you will have to answer quickly, but this is not work related, it is more of personal related. Don't give work related answer. Okay, your favorite food?
To be very honest, I do not have any favorite. I do not have anything as favorite. Like, everything is fine. I love food. I cannot say to food even when I'm full. Okay, if I just ate and then you are bringing something, I'll eat it. But I do not have anything as such. But I like non-veg. I like seafood, non-veg.
Okay, things like that. Now, if you were to, like, suppose if I ask you what will you eat now, what would come out of mouth? What would you want?
I'll say anything.
Anything.
I get confused when people offer me like, okay, I have this. What are you going to do? I'm like, anything. I don't know. In restaurant, if you like bring me the menu, I'll watch it and I'll like, if I'm with someone, I like, you order.
I do that. I do that too. It gets so confusing when you have so many options.
It's like, I like everything. I want everything. Now what?
And if you're forced to give an opinion, then you order the normal chicken lollipop, chicken biryani, which you eat every time.
Every time.
Yeah, I totally get that. Okay, which is your favorite show?
Friends.
Friends.
I'm happy, I'll watch Friends. I'm sad, I'll watch Friends.
I must say, I watched Friends last Feb, and from last Feb to this Feb, I think I watched it almost 3 times over in one.
I remember each and every dialogue. Like, if you show me the scenes, I can say that who is going to say what, the dialogues.
Yeah,
I love that.
And even though it's been made like so many years ago, I think almost 25 years ago now, it feels like they're just
very
next door
relatable
neighbors.
because
Yeah, it's very relatable.
everyone's journey is beautiful, especially Rachel, like going from a spoiled brat to making it big, achieving what she had wanted. So yeah, that's quite relatable.
True. Okay, your favorite book? Not self-help or business related. Apart from that,
I love reading books. Like, I am a literature student, so I absolutely love reading books. But if not mentorship, if not leadership books, if not self-help, I would go for gothic genre. I love reading horror stories. I love reading gothic things. So not anything as such. No book is favorite. No novel is favorite. But yeah, I love gothic genre.
Never read any book from the genre. I never even read those Goosebumps for kids. For some reason, I kind of feel I may not be able to sleep at night. I don't know. I always avoid it. Always.
I started reading Goosebumps. I guess I read I guess for the whole year I was reading this Goosebumps when I was in school.
Yeah, it was there. It was in the library, but I never really picked it up. Even to now, this day, if I had to watch a horror movie, I watch it in broad daylight, because then I can distract myself in the evening, and by nighttime I forget about the movie.
I get scared, I get scared watching horror movies, but I will watch it. I won't get up in the middle of the night to drink water, go to washroom, but I'll watch it.
But you'll watch it. Okay, your favorite YouTuber?
Saloni Srivastav.
Okay, apart from business related YouTube channel, self-help related. Someone else, like what you watch for fun on YouTube? Whom do you watch for fun on YouTube?
I guess I go and I'll watch Tanmay Bhatt. He's crazy funny. I'll watch Tanmay Bhatt.
Okay. Yeah. Which are the top 5 apps that you use in your phone? Non-productive related app. For fun.
Non-productivity, non-work related. I don't have any such apps.
You don't have any. Okay, so then work related top 5 apps.
Instagram, Ninjalytics. Then the rest are websites related to my work. Facebook Creative Studio, Canva. Like, I can just think of these apps that I keep using every day. Trello. Like, now I'm thinking that I do not have a life. I need to get a life.
No, you need to have at least one app that is like for fun. Like
What do you have for fun?
I used to have Ghana in my phone.
I have Spotify.
Spotify. Do you listen to music on Spotify?
Yes, and I assure you, it's not just about for podcasts; it's for songs as well.
No, I use it for podcast, and for music I use Amazon Music. I used to use it. So, but anyways, that is also only my go-to in my.
Right. And I have Ludo in my phone. Which,
Okay, cool.
Ludo. I downloaded it last year and it's still in my phone, although I rarely use it.
Good. That is a fun app then. So you do have fun.
That's counted.
That is counted. 1 point. So Sanya, whoever you are today, whatever you have become today as a person, who inspired you? Any one person or a book that has been very instrumental in shaping your personality as Sanya Priyadarshini?
When I started, it was Ruta, who was my mentor, who's still my mentor. So yes, it's Ruta Mittal and Saloni Srivastav. I still get very inspired watching Saloni do everything, So yes, Saloni has shaped me a lot.
What about in your younger days?
It was my brother.
Okay. Older brother.
Yes. So I have 2 elder brothers, and both of them are like, they have always been kind of genius for me in everything. So yes, I used to watch them and I was like, why can't I be like them? Because he is so quiet. He is like, and I'm shouting around, moving around, doing this and that, everything. And I wanted to be like him because he is like complete kind of person. He knows everything. He can talk about anything. Just ask him, and he'll always be there to him. So I wanted to be like him. Although I am not going to be that now. I know I can't be. And so. In my childhood it was my brother, and today it's Saloni. Yeah. I believe we have a lot of people to look up to as we grow up and even afterwards, and we are like a mixture of all the people that we meet, what we pick from the people that we meet, the good or the bad. I know so many people, like people say that, okay, my inspiration has been Mother Teresa or some celebrities, but for me, I cannot connect with them. I cannot relate with them because I do not know them personally as a person, who they were, how they were. So I have seen my brother since I was born. So yes, I connected with him very easily, and I wanted to be like him. Now I don't want to be like him. I want to be like Saloni. She's doing so many things right now. It's like, when am I going to do that? When am I going to learn all that and start applying those things?
Okay, that is cool. So what is the one message that you would like to give to a teenager or a young adult who just wants to make it big in life?
Start exploring. See what things are there out there, because we did not get any proper guidance. Like, because I had this mentality, okay, if I do not get into PhD, if I do not do this, I cannot do anything else. I'll starve to death. That's what I used to think if I do not earn through this, because I was not having any right guidance around me. I didn't know what to do, and the worst thing I did was I was not talking to anyone. I didn't know, okay, something like this exists in the world. So talk to people who have more experience, who know better than you. Start exploring things, and the best way is coming out of your comfort zone and talking to people who know stuff, not like going to your friend and talking because they don't know shit, they don't know anything, they know just as much as you know. So talk to elders, talk to people, and see what you can do, because there are so many things you can do today. There are so many things you do not even know is going, nothing as a social media manager used to exist a few years ago, but now today we are. So start exploring things out, start learning.
Okay, now for somebody who is an introvert and who wants to get out of the comfort zone, what do you suggest to them?
See, I always think that I have been kind of an introvert. I'm like an ambivert. I was not extrovert. I have never been an extrovert. So, but mostly I used to consider myself kind of an introvert. I did not like talking to people. I hated going in front of camera. Talking to new people was something like it's a scary thing for me. So the thing that I did was, again, coming out of comfort zone. And when you know you have to do something, it's just that you have to do it. Stop, pushing yourself down just because you think you are an introvert and you cannot do shit that extroverts can do. In fact, you know what? Introverts have like an upper hand here because they understand the psychology of people. They can talk to people. Like if I'm an introvert, you are an introvert, we can connect, we can understand each other, and what troubles you are facing, I can talk about it and we can, sort it out. So I guess we have an upper hand here, but the only thing is that once you have to start, talking to people, coming out and doing things, let that side of your personality, it should not bring you down, and it should not stop you from doing something amazing.
Okay, great. I think that's a really a powerful message. What I took from that is maybe as introverts we should set our priorities straight, and our introversion or some fear or some lack of not being something shouldn't put us down in our ambition at all.
Most of the time we think that what people are going to think about it. People are not thinking about you that much, to be very honest. Like, okay, what she's doing. No, people have better things to do. Okay, so stop thinking that, okay, everybody is thinking about you, what you are doing. No, just start doing it. And once you start working, you are going to make yourself super proud. When the first time I started posting on Instagram, it was fine because I was not showing my face. It was absolutely fine. But I knew that I have to come out and talk to people on story, come out and create videos. But I was so scared that what are people going to think? Like, how is she talking? How is she speaking? How she looks like? So all of these things were stopping me from doing that. But one day I just thought, hey, let it be. Let everybody think. It's okay if I get negative comments. It's fine. Let me just do it today. And then I posted the story. I posted that video. And it was unbelievable, but nobody said anything negative. It was like, okay, it's fine. I didn't get any positive comment, I didn't get any negative comment, but that made me proud, that made me come out of my shell, that okay, I can do this. This is not that scary. It's not something like, no, I can't do it. I did it, and that was absolutely fine. And now I'm like kind of every day talking to people on stories, like making videos. So try it, go and do it, because nobody is going to, sometimes it happens, like negative comments and positive comments, but it's fine. It's absolutely fine. When you are coming out of your shell, when you are showing yourself in front of the world to people, you are going to get both of that. So you have to be comfortable with it.
Okay, it's like your ambitions should be on top priority more than. And also one of another YouTuber had mentioned once, Roberto Blake. He was talking about the same thing, about coming out of the shell. He said if you're hesitant about like creating a YouTube video, then you shoot 100 videos. By the time you reach your 100th video, you're going to get comfortable about it.
Right.
Yeah, so just
Start
don't-
talking. Create videos. Don't post it, but create
Yeah,
videos and
create videos and keep it. By the end of the 100th video, you're going to get so comfortable that you will upload it. You will not find
upload it.
Yeah, true. So on that happy note, Sanya, I am so glad we did this recording. I'm so glad we got to have this conversation together. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I want to end with one power question to you. Where do you see yourself in the next 5
Wow.
years? Or your next 5-year goal? Like, what do you want to do?
I want to start a business. I want to help people. I want to, in short, I want to coach people. I want them to, like just you said that there are so many people who do not know what they want to do and how they should do and that stuff. So I want to help people come out of their shell and start working and give them a direction kind of thing.
Okay.
So
That
I
is
hope to start that, and I'm working on that, but it's not easy and it's not going to it's going to take time.
Yeah, but slowly, but I'm sure it will definitely happen. So thank you, Sanya, so much for coming on the podcast. It was wonderful chatting with you. I hope to connect with you another time for another episode. A few months down the line, we can have another chat about what has changed in the industry. I'm sure a lot of things will have changed by then. Right? So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love talking to you.